flip around my screens. For anybody watching this after, I'm just flipping around my screens. I have some memos that I gave myself and I'm throwing over here. Uh, any of you that are going to be watching this after the fact or plan to watch this currently, uh, this is going to be basically totally about the second impeachment's after effects. So, uh, basically, when they tried to impeach Trump, yes, I say tried because they failed not just once, but twice. Uh, this is strictly about the after part for the second impeachment. So, for instance, uh, they uh, they did go on their rest, as they put it, uh, where the entire Senate and everybody takes their breaks. They go away. They both have time to do whatever. I'm not 100% on that. Maybe they take naps. Maybe they get more evidence or whatever to show as a final showing or whatever. But, anyways, when they went on their rest, the Democrats said they left and they had overwhelming evidence already in the system. Uh, and yet they got very, very pissed off and annoyed that when they came back from their whole rest period, everything, the Supreme Court or Senate, I should say, stated that they were uh, that they said they were not guilty of the charges brought forth against Trump. Let me switch that. That way you don't hear any beeps. There we go. Okay. Okay, sorry. Getting messages from folks. Um, anyways, I'm going to be looking over here a lot because, like I said, this one, unlike most of mine that are completely unscripted, I don't have any notes on them, nothing. Uh, uh, Basically, this one I did prepare a few notes for because I wanted to pull some direct quotes from things. Uh, oh, the whole uh, the whole Mike Pence statement that they quoted was being chanted, uh, which there was a chant apparently being said at the Capitol building that was "Hang Mike Pence." Apparently, a whole bunch of Republicans were stating that. Now, let me research this real quick. I'm going to look something up really quick. Yes, he is a part of the Republican Party. So I just want to make sure that I had that right because I didn't know 100%. I was pretty sure, but not guaranteed. Uh, he's a part of the Republican Party, and yet apparently there was a whole bunch of Republicans chanting "Hang Mike Pence." I don't see why any Republican would be saying that we should hang our own representative because he wasn't exactly anti anything that I know of that was Republican based. They were claiming that was a Republican based group stating to hang Mike Pence, and yet they couldn't bring a single person to the stands that would directly state that they personally were Republican and that they were one of the ones that was shouting it. So there was quite literally no hard factual proof of that. It was assumed proof that barely held up. It was videos that their people basically stated, hey, these are Republicans that came from the Trump rally. They are saying, hang Mike Pence. They're doing this, that. They were literally pointing out a whole bunch of stuff to try to make it look like they were as bad as possible and that it had nothing to do with their side. But the Senate, in the long run, did state that no, there was no hard proof evidence, and they would not convict a person on so little evidence that they're basically just going off a video that may or may not be what these people are saying was truth. Nancy Pelosi also stated, "Watch out for that social media." That's basically her exact quote was, "Watch out for that social media uh, that stopped the steal was a fake thing, and there was no proof apparently behind it." Is something that our president of the time, Trump, had apparently made up. Yet there was proof. We actually proved that in court. Republicans were able to show proof that there was fraud that was actually found. That's why certain areas literally had to do a full on recount, not just, hey, let's recount the ballots, let's make sure stuff is right. No, after they did that, they literally redid the count because certain areas had found things that were discrepancies within the numbers, and therefore it was not correct. That means that Trump, no, was not lying. There was something false. No, maybe it wasn't enough to push into his favor to where he wins. Hey, he might not have won one way or the other, but we knew that there was fraud being done. And so, as a Republican side, they did actually know what the hell they were talking about, and they just want to make sure that the count was actually done accurate, whether it was for Trump to win or not. Uh, Nancy Pelosi also mentioned that she would like to thank the folks that acted quickly and brought on the papers that were needed on the 6th, at the 6th, to get things moving. Uh, that uh, may just be me, but anyways, what lawmaker or politician figure has literally ever been able to produce paperwork the exact same day? Like, riot happened, and they're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, papers are done. Here you go." Really doesn't seem, a little fishy. And if that's not fishy enough, they got in there, and the court, before they even, like, as the court hearing people and all them, before they were even ready for the second stage of stuff, somehow the Democrats already had the second day's worth of papers done. Well, don't find that a little bit odd, people, that there might have been some sort of, pre-filing of paperwork to make sure that they had their stuff ready to go? So why would you pre-file paperwork unless you already know of something, though? that, that to me screams that there was something up that they knew about. And so if you ask me, it was probably the Democratic Party that had some people that they hired to go attack the area wearing Republican like stuff, whether it's a Make America Great Again hat or whatever, and try their damnedest to make sure Trump will look as bad as possible. So they will have all the evidence that they possibly think they will need to try and make him never be able to get elected again. Why? Because he's a threat to their stuff. If they want something done and he's in their way, they have to remove him. They have to get him out of that way. And that's the best way to do it, is to act upon that sort of intention. She also, I don't know if you guys watched the after like the press conference coverage. She was clearly worried about getting off that stage. She didn't want to stay up there any longer than she had to. She actually stated when she first stepped up there, she had no intention of going to the press conference or press release originally. And let's see, what was the thing I listed for this? Yeah, she was actually more worried about getting off that stage than admitting that she was in the wrong, and just, but they wanted to move forward. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're wrong or right, admit it, and then say, you know what, we're moving forward with things. We have our own, like, even our own agenda, or we have the American people in our books. That's what we're looking to help, is the American people. Let's move forward with stuff. Not, hey, you know what, he's in the wrong. He should have been blah, blah, blah. Like, she literally, on that press release day, was going on and on and on about how Trump was in the wrong. Even going as far as, let me figure out where this was. Here it is. Nancy Pelosi, quite literally, word for word, called out the Senate and says they were all cowards, unwilling to do your job when called upon, and stated that it may be because they're fearful of losing their jobs. Okay, A, they're higher in power than Trump is, especially at this point. And literally, most of them were Democratic. Like Biden literally switched out some people in the Senate. So if your own people find that he's not going to be in trouble for what you think he did, then how the hell are you going to win on a fight that you're starting? Not only that, but many Democrats actually stated they want to beat up Trump. Like, no, I'm not just stating that. You can look up several different videos where people, Democratic wise only, you look at the bottom where it says their name and it says either D for Democrat or R for Republican. Many of them have on live national television said, I wish I could pull him into a back room and just beat the shit out of him. Or as Biden would put it, I wish I was back in high school. I could take him out to the bleachers and kick the shit out of him. And that's not just once, but Biden said that 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. There's also many other people that both, whether they're actors in like the movie industry or various other things, that have all stated they want to beat up Trump or they want to fight him and kick his ass. Okay, so you want to kick this guy's ass for what? Bringing jobs to America? Because congratulations. You say that you're bringing so many jobs to America, but you've already failed to bring jobs. You've actually destroyed the economy within the first, 10 days of office. Well, you're already doing damage to the economy that you're trying to reverse. Like, you're literally trying to reverse the damages you're doing. So, congratulations. You're doing such a good job. They literally, uh, oh, yeah, they actually quoted Democratic Party. This is quoted. They don't know where in the Constitution it states that protests have to remain peaceful. Uh, quite frankly, if you don't realize that the Constitution states that a protest will be peaceful and remain within the judgment of the law, uh, then you're probably stupider than Martin Luther King was. Like him, in a time when blacks were in all manners pretty much portrayed as a devil skinned person or whatever. I don't know the exact phrases they used back then. Some of my best friends are black and I don't look at color. So all I can say is if you're a person that's in office and you're saying, I don't understand where you think that the Constitution says a protest has to remain peaceful. And they've actually quoted this because they stated that there's no reason the Democratic Party has to remain peaceful during their protesting. Okay, if they don't think their own protest needs to be peaceful, then why would they not uh, want the Republicans Party to be also violent? They wouldn't. They would just be like, well, it doesn't state that they have to remain peaceful. So if you look at it that way, they're literally saying, oh, it's okay for us to be violent, but not okay for you to be violent. That's quite literally what's going on. It's a two-way street, and they're trying to take both sides of a weird twist. Uh, as for Elizabeth Warren, if you've ever heard of her, congratulations. If you haven't, you're basically on the same page as me. I've seen her at a press release conference that she was quoting, she's ready to fight back and will fight hard for changes that Americans want. This wasn't in relation to, oh, Americans are wanting jobs, Americans are wanting lower taxes. They're wanting to know why their income tax and stuff is being taken away for stupid, frivolous things like, hey, let's try and impeach a president that's not in office. Let's keep going after him, stuff like that. No. She's wanting to fight for Americans, as in she's an American and whatever she feels that she wants to go after, that's what Americans want too, because she's the center of attention. It's literally what I gathered from it, because she literally stated nothing during that press conference that was for the American people. She stated like she was for them, but she only stated things she wanted to see. And then they are still, as Nancy Yeah, Pelosi said, Nancy Pelosi said, heck, they're still litigating someone from trial one, but yet that doesn't, that alone shows they're trying to rush things and not willing to wait for decisions. Because, okay, say you have a court date. Now, if someone in the court system, it's like, for instance, your lawyer or whatever, it's like, by the way, I just want to let you know you're innocent until proven guilty. All we have to do is go in there, we show our evidence, yada yada yada, and then suddenly someone comes in and they go, you know what, you're guilty. Now we got to just move this along. We're going on to the next trial instead. That's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to rush, and push stuff forward, but they can't do it because this dude has legal rights, and so they're literally still questioning him. If they're not done questioning and talking to people on the first time that they've tried doing the impeachment, and that one already was determined to have failed, why are they moving on to a second impeachment? And they're already done with this second one now, too. So are they going to try a third time? They, when does the let's keep trying to impeach Trump stop? Because if you keep wasting U.S. tax dollars, okay, let's go away from the tax dollar. Let's say, okay, well, stop wasting the Social Security money that people put in, because we all know that the government keeps tapping into the Social Security money, telling people, oh, well, your Social Security checks might have to be a little lower. Yeah, they're a little lower because you're using our funds that we're putting away for our retirement for stupid stuff that you want to see done, not for what we want done, but what you personally, as a Republican or Democratic Party, wants to see done in the upper ranges. And I'm pretty sure part of that is, hey, you want your pay raise, or hey, you want to make sure that Trump doesn't ever get elected again, so you're going to run smear campaigns or whatever. And you're going to pull from the American public to do that. That's not what you're elected for. That's that's why I say Nancy Pelosi is a corrupt individual, and she sees herself as some sort of godsend where she's supposed to be giving these great speeches to help America. And yet, every moment that she gets a chance, she talks about how bad Trump is and how bad the Republican Party is and how the Senate isn't doing their job and the Senate's a bunch of cowards. And she mentions that they're cowards in just the press release video alone, where they talk to her probably four times, I think maybe even five, but I think it was four times that she mentions that the Senate is cowards. Okay, you're supposed to be working with these people and you call them all cowards? I mean, come on, really? Grow the hell up. Learn that your trial failed and you need to now focus on what is best for America, not, oh, Trump is still on my mind and I'm pissed off that I couldn't succeed not just once, but twice at impeaching him. Yeah, she was in both trials. So, uh, if we can, I believe that someone should post a link down below in my comments later about where we can get a hold of Nancy Pelosi and teach her how to be, a stand up person for society, not just a whiny little bitch that seems to cry every time she doesn't get her way. Because what happens when, uh, I can't remember his name suddenly, Joe Biden, there we go, having the blankouts just like he does, or can't remember shit. Um, but what happens when Joe Biden states, you know what, I need my gun legislation to pass, and it's just not passing? What happens then if Pelosi has everything her way? If she suddenly finds a way to push stuff through Senate and she just says, "Hey, stop being cowards, get this to pass." What if she finally pushes stuff hard enough? Guess what? It means your Second Amendment, your First Amendment, Third, Fourth, Fifth, all the amendments could be rewritten. They could be thrown out, because as of, if you've been watching the news and you've been watching just in general anything about the Democratic Party, they're not as politically nice as they used to be. They've turned into a very corrupt uh, position of power where they are trying their damnedest to turn this country into only what they see as fit, which is why almost all of them right now are claiming that we're not trying to take your guns. We just want to limit how many guns you can have, and we want to limit the ammo selection that you have. And we want to, that's not why that Constitution was written. Uh, but that's also a whole different video. I actually had that video up about the whole gun thing. But the reason I bring that up is because of the fact that if Nancy Pelosi is willing to lie under oath about information and they're found in the wrong, where they're like, hey, Trump was acquitted, he's not guilty of these charges you seem to think, whether it's they're calling him not guilty because he strictly is physically not guilty, or because, the Senate doesn't want to see a president that doesn't have bodyguards, doesn't have any sort of presidential benefits to keep him safe from foreign terrorists taking him, interrogating him, and then having him give away secrets that the United States only gives to the president. Uh, Either way, they acquitted him. So if she's willing to whine and bitch and complain because she's in the wrong, and she's not willing to admit she's in the wrong, what's she going to do if, for instance, her party as a whole isn't getting their way? Is she? Do you really think she's going to step back and be like, well, I guess we can't pass these gun laws? No, she's going to step into the limelight and most likely start telling people, look, you need to get your shit together. We need gun control. And you know why I say this? Because there's a lot of Democrats right now stepping into the limelight and telling people, hey, there's no reason to have a gun. You can defend yourself by punching them. You can defend yourself by putting a sign up that says it's a gun free zone. And yes, that's a thing. There's actually people stating that. I'm sorry, but if you put two schools next to each other and one of them says gun free zone and the other one says teachers armed, I guarantee the gun free zone one is going to have a lot more violence go towards it. You know why? Because the criminal is going to go, easy targets. They're not going to be like, well, I can't go there because I have a gun. No, that's not how a criminal mind works. And person of political power, Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, all those people in general need to learn not only where they stand on the totem pole exactly, but also know what they swore an oath for. And it's not just the fact that I want them to know, hey, you swore an oath to protect America from both foreign and domestic terrorism, which they seem to think Trump is a terrorist. And far from it. Hey, you're wrong. Sorry, it wasn't. But it's the fact that they're not even looking at their own party as potentially being terroristic to the United States because they don't believe that the Constitution was written to keep people safe. They quite literally think that there's nowhere in the Constitution, and this has been stated by Joe Biden, there's nowhere in the Constitution that it states that Americans or any civilian within America has the right to any gun. It states that some people have the access to certain guns. I hate to tell you, Joe, but you're wrong. As a president of the United States, you should probably know what the hell the Constitution states in it, since you're supposed to uphold the Constitution. Nancy Pelosi, same way. She she states things because it can come out her mouth, and what comes out her mouth is truth because she's a politician, and you all should believe her. No, not really, but there's a lot of Democratic Party members right now that I'm not Democratic, I'm not Republican. I'm what I consider an independent, and what many people would consider independent. But I have a lot of Republican views. Now, that aside, it's one of those things where when you look at the Democratic Party and how they state what they think America needs and what America's Constitution reads like, that's where it starts to become very irritating because how are they even supposed to impeach a president if they don't know the legal laws that they're upholding by themselves? I mean, think about that. You're going after a president. That means just like any court case, even if it's a civil case, when you go to court, you should know what your opponent has as a risk assessment. So when you're going up against the president, you have to know, hey, he has secrets that no one but the president pretty much will know. So if you get him taken down where he can never become president again, what are the risks to that person? If, say, a terroristic group was to come after him, okay, well, hey, we need to keep him in a secure place. He needs to have bodyguards or something like that. But they don't look at it that way. They straight up stated during the trials they don't just want him out of office. They want to make sure he never gets into office again, doesn't have presidential bodyguards, doesn't have presidential uh, anything like any benefits or etc. So they're not even worried about the United States as a whole. So if someone was to, let's say, steal away Trump, a foreign group, if Trump would have been accused and he had all those things taken away from him, to where Nancy Pelosi would have been like, oh, congratulations, see, we were awesome. We did our job. Because I guarantee she'd be praising the hell out of herself. But uh, if they would have gotten him to the point where he has everything taken away, guess what? If a foreign terroristic group was to take him hostage because he goes on business trips, so business trip, a businessman going on a business trip becomes a liability now. Well, if he's got no rights to bodyguards or anything like that because he was a former president, guess what can happen? Now they take him hostage. They ask, hey, what were the security codes? If he says, hey, I don't know, they change it every 24 hours. Where do they typically hold them then? Guess what? That info keeps going more and more and more and more, and they will interrogate him till he gives it. Now, you just put the entire United States at risk, all because you didn't want the man to be president again. Now, I'm just going to say this before I end it, but if you ask me, it's not that they're worried that he incited an insurrection, even if he did incite some sort of violence. What they're truly worried about is he was doing stuff that was against what they wanted. And because it's against what they wanted, they were willing to risk the entire United States as a whole just to get what they wanted. So I'm going to leave you all with that. Leave your comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you want to know the next time I go live. I try to do these every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but lately I've either been very tired or very busy, so I have missed a few. I try to catch up on those when I can, but I just want to let y'all know I am trying to do these 3 times a week. If I can't do them 3, I will do them 2, though. Anyways, y'all have a great night and hope to see you on the next one. Goodbye.